Sungwoo is wondering that the group which is targeting Korea were the losers of Second Chinese Server, and they should hunt them now before they can become big enough to cause them trouble. However, there is going to be a day when they have to face an even greater group. The more larger their group gets, the chances of their encounter with other groups will also increase. That's why Sungwoo needs an organization which works systematically to help him. Unfortunately, the small town of Suwon is not enough, so he needs a bigger group. At the same time, Prosecutor is thinking of making a large community at the national level, and now Sungwoo is going to support him to make his community bigger. In reality, both Sungwoo and Prosecutor are trying to use each other in some way. Hanho and Ji Se-yoon are happy now that the conflict between Sungwoo and the Prosecutor has subsided. They have to take care of the orcs first, so they start making a plan. Sungwoo informs the Prosecutor that he has a way to decrease the casualties by as much as possible, but that method is a bit unconventional. Sungwoo hints at doing some sort of sniping. After some time, the Prosecutor and the Liberation Guild start heading toward the orcs' main army. Min Sung says that it feels like they are marching to a slaughterhouse, but Ji Se-yoon replies by saying that they will be the ones who will become butchers today. Hanho tells her that there are too many pigs to slaughter, and his daggers are not enough. An orc gives out a loud roar and they start marching toward the Liberation Guild. Prosecutor orders his tanks to come to the front and the mages to move in the middle so they can't get attacked from behind. One of the mages is feeling disheartened, but his friend tells him that he should focus on the fight now because he cannot run away even if he wants to. In order to motivate his men, the Prosecutor tells them that they have already won many impossible battles, and today's war is just an extension of those battles. The Prosecutor is sure that there will be even more difficult and exhausting fights from now on. More powerful foes will try to bring them down with their might, and he asks his men if they will give up in the face of such a small challenge. His men are bursting with motivation, so they say they will never give up. The Prosecutor uses his 10 plus domain skill and tells his men that this victory will belong to them. The outer shield of the orcs gets destroyed and the mages start casting fireballs. The fireballs hit the orcs, but their numbers don't seem to be dwindling. The orcs attack the front row of the Liberation Guild, but their tankers are holding back the orcs. The orcs are trying to surround them from sides, so the spearmen get ready. The orc shamans make their appearance, so the human mages also start getting ready. Rhino riders are pushing toward the human player formation, so the spearmen start aiming for them before they can break their formation. The human players are ferociously holding back the orcs. The siege weapons of the orcs start taking their position. An orc chief orders the siege weapons to start shooting at the human players. The Prosecutor uses his Realm of Blind Faith skill to cast a shield around them. The Prosecutor orders his men to hold their position and keep luring the orcs' main forces toward them. They need to bring the Orc Lord as close to them as possible. At the same time, a griffin is flying above the airport. The girl asks Sungwoo if he wants the griffin to lower the altitude, but Sungwoo replies by saying that this height is enough for him. All of a sudden, Sungwoo jumps down and he activates his Grim Reaper mode in the air. The orc shamans can feel Sungwoo's presence, but they are a bit late, and Sungwoo summons Ogre Champion out of the abyss. The orc shamans summon a shield around them and the Ogre Champion gets ready for his Thunder God Blessing technique. The Ogre Champion smashes the shield into bits, and the orc shamans also get destroyed in the process. The Prosecutor saw the whole thing, and now he knows that it was the sniping operation Sungwoo was talking about. The Orc Lord appears out of the rubble, and the last attack had a lot of impact on him. Sungwoo asks why he is looking angry. The Ogre Warriors start retreating back to protect their lord. Min Sung tells the Liberation Guild to attack the orcs which are trying to retreat. Sungwoo activates both Call of Death and Weakened Spirit at the same time. Sungwoo receives a new hidden synergy because he has a Commander Skeleton Righty with more than 30 units under his command. He also got a second synergy called Giants, which require more than 50 giant-type units in the party. His third synergy is Steel Armored Knightage, which requires more than 50 units equipped with heavy armor. Someone throws a bottle filled with Breath of the Abyss in the middle of the orc army. The orcs start dying from the effects of Breath of the Abyss. Hanho, who is now riding the griffin, was the one who threw the bottle at the orcs. Sungwoo is feeling even more buffed after coming in contact with the Breath of Abyss. Sungwoo tells the Orc Lord that he is sorry for coming to see him like this, but he wanted to have a nice little chat with him. Sungwoo orders Righty and the Death Knight to attack the Orc Lord. Righty and the Death Knight start attacking the Orc Lord in unison. The Orc Lord is somehow blocking their attacks. The Orc Lord gets distracted for 1 second, and the Death Knight seizes this chance to perform a slash attack on him. Righty jumps toward the Orc Lord to finish him with a head stab, but the Death Knight chains and pushes the Orc Lord toward himself. Death Knight slashes the Orc Lord into 2 pieces with the nameless sword. Sungwoo receives 900,000 gold for defeating the Orc Lord, and the time until the egg hatching has been reduced to 3,780 days. Reddy is pissed at the Death Knight for stealing his kill, but Death Knight tries to clarify that he killed the Orc Lord to reduce the hatching time of the dragon egg. After the death of their lord, the orcs have lost the will to fight. The orcs are hit with a plenty effect and they became weaker. The human players start butchering the red orcs. Minhum Sung, along with some other Liberation Guild members, ride on bikes to kill the orcs faster. The prosecutor becomes relieved because now they can hunt the orcs without worrying about casualties. All of a sudden, Minhum Sung receives an emergency alert on his mobile. It seems to be quite important, so Minhum rides toward the prosecutor to tell him the news. Minhum Sung informs the prosecutor that the Magic Drone scout team just reported that the Wyverns group is headed their way. Prosecutor becomes shocked and he inquires about the current location of Wyverns. Minhum Sung informs him that scout team who reported it is 3 kilometers away from their location, so the Wyverns must be arriving at their location pretty soon. The prosecutor thinks that maybe they were tricked by Wyverns. The Wyverns were waiting for their prey to leave the city, which had a lot of obstacles, and head toward the wasteland. Prosecutor orders all human players to retreat and take shelter inside the airport building. The human players are a bit confused as to why prosecutor is asking them to retreat. All of a sudden, a system message pops up which informs all of them that the field boss Wyvern Alpha male appeared near them. The human players are already too late as the Wyverns are upon them. The Wyverns start rampaging through the ranks of human players and eating them in the process. Sungwoo thinks that the Wyverns appeared at a bad time, and dealing with them can be a bit troublesome right now. Sungwoo orders his flying birds to carry the dead orcs toward the Wyverns. The Wyverns are busy in their rampage, and the birds approach near them carrying the bodies. Sungwoo asks the prosecutor to prepare the ballistas, and the prosecutor orders his men to prepare them. The Wyverns spot the flying birds. One of them bites a dead red orc and gulps it up without any second thoughts. Sungwoo uses corpse explosion to blast the red orc inside the mouth of the Wyvern. The prosecutor orders his men to shoot the Wyvern with ballistas. Sungwoo orders the Wandering Drake to finish off the Wyvern. Wandering Drake bites the Wyvern from behind, and after a bit of struggle, he manages to kill the Wyvern. Sungwoo receives 754,000 gold for finishing off a single Wyvern. All human players become happy after witnessing Sungwoo finishing off a Wyvern. Sungwoo always wanted to beat the Wyverns, and now he finally managed to achieve his goal. Sungwoo uses his skill to add the Wyvern into his horde. Sungwoo gets on the Wyvern and he orders Death Knight to do the same. They start flying high above the other Wyverns. The skies have finally opened up for Sungwoo and he can now travel freely and faster. Death Knight asks Sungwoo if they are going to hunt the Wyverns next. Sungwoo replies by saying that it's time for them to show the Wyverns how it feels like being hunted. One of the Wyverns spots the human players gathered below him. He starts rushing toward them at full speed. Sungwoo orders his Bone Wyvern to chase that Wyvern who got separated from the herd. The Bone Wyvern bites one of its wing. Death Knight uses his Chains of Abyss skill to bind the Wyvern. Sungwoo orders the Death Knight to finish it off with the Nameless Sword. All of a sudden, Sungwoo notices a second Wyvern above him, which is about to attack them. They dodge the attack of the Wyvern by ducking down. The Bone Wyvern starts flying away and the second Wyvern gives chase. Sungwoo is worried because taking care of 2 Wyverns at the same time will be difficult, but at the same time he receives a notification that the first Wyvern has been killed. Death Knight killed the first Wyvern by stabbing its head with the Nameless Sword, and now he is falling down. Sungwoo makes the first Wyvern into a Bone Wyvern with his skill. The second Wyvern is not giving up and he is about to bite them. Sungwoo summons Righty and he throws him toward the second Wyvern. As the Wyvern is about to gulp up Righty, he uses his spinal bones to dodge the attack. Righty then uses his Spiral Blade technique to cut the Wyvern. Wyvern received a lot of damage and he is bleeding. The Wyvern Sungwoo is riding bites off the neck of the second Wyvern. Sungwoo brings the second Wyvern back to life and now he has 3 of them. There are more Wyverns below them which are in a horde and the alpha male Wyvern is watching them from above. Sungwoo can't deal with the whole herd of wyverns, so he will wait for some of them to leave the herd and he will hunt them one by one. All of a sudden, the alpha male wyvern who was hovering above them gives out a loud roar. All wyverns look up at the alpha male. The whole herd starts moving up in the sky, even ignoring Sungwoo, who is standing on their way. The alpha male wyvern along with his herd is giving off some evil vibes. Death Knight tells Sungwoo to be on alert because things are about to get messy. There are about 30 wyverns in the herd and it is going to be impossible to run away from them. But Sungwoo still has a jar filled with Breath of the Abyss, which can come in handy in this situation. The wyverns start rushing towards Sungwoo in unison. Sungwoo quickly spreads the Breath of Abyss around him. The wyverns become alerted after watching a cloud formed with Breath of the Abyss, but they still charge through and they get hit with the effects of the Abyss. The wyverns back away from the smoke of Breath of the Abyss. The Death Knight informs Sungwoo that the Breath of Abyss works like a charm on them, but the alpha male wyvern is still holding his ground. Sungwoo pulls up another empty jar and he tries to threaten the wyverns to back away or he will shower them with more jars containing Breath of the Abyss. The alpha male realizes they cannot do anything if the necromancer keeps on using the Breath of the Abyss, so he decides to retreat with his horde. The wyverns fly off into the distance at maximum speed. Sungwoo's Grim Reaper mode also just expired and he is happy to finally have some peace. Sungwoo lands on the ground and his minions take care of the remaining orcs. The human players feel at ease by having Sungwoo with them. The prosecutor feels a bit relieved because Sungwoo is on his side, and he can take care of foreign powers while he concentrates on making a strong community. A notification pops up which informs them that the Koreans have cleared the 4th Warlord monster, and Sungwoo is the biggest contributor in this mission. The human players start celebrating their victory. Sungwoo was the biggest contributor in this raid, but player Han Kang-sok is still on the first position in the Korean server. Sungwoo just leveled up to 18, so he chooses a +3 strength card as his level up reward. Sungwoo knows that information about him has spread too much due to the live streaming, and his enemies will target him in the future instead of his summons. That's why he chose a strength card to increase his strength. Sungwoo also got a legendary rank ring after killing the Orc Lord. This ring is called Blackened Pearl Ring. It increases curse-type magic damage by 10%. This ring also emits dark energy which can be harmful to players with no immunity. Sungwoo equips the ring and it will be quite useful for him when he uses Breath of the Abyss or other black magic. Sungwoo thinks that he could have gotten better loot if he had allowed the Orc Lord to cast the black magic, just like the legendary item he got from Orc Shaman in the college gym. But stopping the magic was more important or more people would have lost their lives. During night, they make an assessment that only 492 people survived the last battle. That's only a third of players they started the battle with, and the players are a bit concerned. The prosecutor comes up and he informs them that they have lost a lot of good men, but the ones who survived have become stronger. He further informs them that events like this will continue to occur, so they must use this incident as a reason to get stronger. Sungwoo thinks that the words of the prosecutor are a bit tough, but everything he says is true. Jiseon reached level 15 while Hanho is a bit slow, so he made it up to level 12. Hanho is on the 27th rank while Jiseon is on the 7th rank in the Korean server. Hanho takes a mic and he starts complaining to the system for only awarding 4 or 5 star players with Awakening, while the players with low stars are treated like extras. Sungwoo informs him that he had 2 chances to pick a class, and it's his fault that he chose low star classes both times. At the same time, some Liberation Guild members who were exploring the Gimpo International Airport come out. One of the players informs them that they found a store inside the airport building, but when they tried to get inside, they got a system message telling them that the store cannot be approached. Sungwoo becomes happy as he thinks this store must be only for special players like him. The other players with high star classes also become happy after hearing it. The prosecutor tells all of the leaders to head inside and give it a try. The player guides the leaders in the room with the store. There is something different about this store, and even its logo is marked with "cannot be used" symbol. An-sak-gu and Gang-young Lee try to approach the outer wall of the store, but the entrance of the store is still locked, and a message pops up which informs them that they need a secret store coupon to enter. Sungwoo heads up near the store wall. He puts his hand on the wall and a notification pops up which asks him if he wants to use the secret store coupon. This is the secret coupon Sungwoo got after his first awakening, and it was only limited to 50 people around the world. And it looks like the prosecutor got awakened pretty late, so maybe that's why he didn't get any secret coupon. The other leaders are a bit pissed because Sungwoo is the one who always gets special treatment by the system. Sungwoo heads inside the room and there's a chair with a screen in front of it. The system asks Sungwoo to sit down and Sungwoo sits on the chair. A system message pops up which informs him that 5 carefully selected items will be sequentially revealed to him. He needs to speak up if there is an item he wishes to purchase. Sungwoo will have 10 seconds to make his decision, and an item which already passed through cannot be purchased. Sungwoo tells the system store that he is ready. A bright light appears on the screen and the system message informs him that it's going to reveal the first item. The first item is a consumable blueprint, and it looks like a mech unit. This special rank item is called Golem Design Blueprint. The player can learn Golem production skill after using this item. The owner of this skill can make large-sized golems using the materials around him, and it requires 1 million gold to acquire this blueprint. A 10-second system timer starts and Sungwoo starts flaring up after hearing he can make big golem mech units like Gundam with his skill. Sungwoo has a total of 10,500,000 gold, so he buys the Golem Blueprint item without any second thoughts. The second item is a set of Cure All Elixirs. All status ailments can be cured after using it and it requires 2 million gold to purchase it. This item was also included in the reward choice during the hidden stage, but he had no idea that it was so expensive back then. Sungwoo passes on this item because he is a necromancer and he has immunity to most effects. The third item is a skill rank increasing medicine pill. The rank of one of the skills can be increased by 1 after using it, and it costs 3 million gold. Sungwoo ignores this item as well, and he realized that the cost of each item is increasing by 1 million gold. The fourth item is a legendary rank Shadow King's bracelet. It increases different stats of its wearer by 3, and the user can teleport to a shadow within a radius of 100 meters. It has a 10-minute cooldown and it costs 4 million gold. Sungwoo buys the Shadow King's bracelet without any second thought. The synergy effect of this bracelet is quite good, and he needs it to complete the Shadow's King Heir quest. A notification pops up which tells him that he needs 1 more Shadow King relic to complete the quest. The screen starts revealing the 5th item and Sungwoo is quite excited to see it. A special rank consumable scroll appears. This item is called Resurrection Scroll, and its user can be resurrected at the designated location after death. This scroll requires 5 million gold. Resurrection is an exclusive feature for the Necromancer class. This same feature allowed him to deal with the Wandering Drake and finish his first awakening quest. Resurrection cooldown can take up to 31 days, but it is still an overpowered skill. There are 3 drawbacks of this skill. First, the cooldown of this skill is too long. Sungwoo has already used the skill and he's still waiting for the countdown to be over, and if he dies in that time, it will be over for him. Second drawback is that the situation can't be changed even after being resurrected, and the enemy who killed him once must be overpowered enough to kill him twice. Third drawback is that it's a skill Sungwoo can only use on himself, and if Hanho or Ji Se-yoon die, he can't do anything. Besides the fact that they are both his close friends, they are the only 2 people he can completely trust. They need to get strong and take risks. The Resurrection Scroll will be a huge advantage to them. So Sungwoo buys it before the timer can run out. Sungwoo bought everything he needed and the store starts sending him back. After the war with the orcs ended, the prosecutor established Capital's City Player Union. The Liberation Guild and the players from Sungwoo's town kept grinding levels. At the same time, Sungwoo and his party are enjoying their vacation. Sungwoo is gathering information because the fights they are going to have in the future will be more difficult. The Griffin Rider approaches them and she informs them that the pirates have already appeared. Ji Se-yoon signs as their short break is already over. Sungwoo informs Prosecutor about it and he asks Sungwoo how he is going to deal with the pirates. Sungwoo informs him that it will be best to take care of them in the ocean before they can make their landing. Hanho says that the pirates would not have invaded them for the second time if they had a working brain. Ji Se-yoon says that they must be careful because the pirates will try to approach them differently because they already know about Sungwoo. If those pirates are aiming for Korea, then they must have gathered as much information as they can from live streams or by kidnapping other players. Ji Se-yoon asks Sungwoo if he has already thought about how he is going to deal with the pirates. Sungwoo has not thought of a plan yet, but he still says he has a plan. These pirates are a group of plunderers who were chased out of the Chinese mainland. They called themselves Lord General of Heaven, Lord General of Earth, and Lord General of People. Hanho tells them that he has already heard these names in Chinese games, and they refer to the Yellow Turban Rebellion. After investigating the underlings of the pirates, Sung Woo found out that they were all brainwashed and they acted like fanatics toward their boss. Ji Si-yun tells them that the Yellow Turban Rebellion was also a historical event where the leader led fanatics to take over the world, and this situation seems familiar. Sung-woo heard some pirates talking about a poisonous centipede wine, which probably is the catalyst used for the brainwashing. The prosecutor says that their leader seems dangerous and he must be dealt with first. If they somehow lose him, he can come back with more soldiers using his brainwashing skills. Sung-woo says that they should start heading towards Kyeodong Island first, and this time, Ji Si-yun and Hanho will be tagging along with him. Sung-woo summons his wyverns for the flight, but Hanho says that he prefers the safety of a chopper, and the girl assures him that her flying hawk is quite safe, so he should travel with her. Ji Si-yun says riding wyverns is fun too, but Hanho replies by saying that it's fun for her because she is in physical education department. As Sung-woo is about to leave, the prosecutor tells him that he will leave the pirates to him. Sung-woo says that there is no need to worry about the pirates, but they don't know what the Evolution Society might do in his absence, so they must prepare well for any kind of attack. The prosecutor gets furious and he informs Sung-woo that they will be investing as much manpower as they can to prepare for the Evolution Society. During nighttime, Sung-woo and his party arrive at Kyeodong Island. Sung-woo asks a fisherman if he is sure he saw the pirate ships. The fisherman says that he is sure he saw ships belonging to the pirates. The daughter of the fisherman asks him again if he is sure, and the fisherman replies by saying that her uncle, who was the previous leader, was eaten by one of their monster birds, so he is quite sure about it. This guy is called Lee Mu-yeon, and he's the new leader of Kyeodong Island. Their resentment against the pirates was so great that they gave up hunting monsters and started to work as coastal guards. Lee Mu-yeon says that it's been about 12 hours since they circled the island. Then they went over to the shore of Ganghwa Island. Sung-woo says that this makes it clear that the pirates have not given up on the Korean peninsula. Ji Si-yun says that they cannot rule out the possibility that they will land in other locations. Plus, they can land on the southern part of the peninsula and then move up. Hanho says that this can be better for them because warlord monsters still exist in other areas except for the capital city. The players have already evacuated upward, and the pirates will be cleaning up the monsters for them. Sung-woo says they are wrong, and the pirates will come straight this way. The idea of taking over another server isn't something you can accomplish with the usual confidence or momentum. The leader of those pirates only has his eyes on taking over the capital city, which is the core of their server. Sung-woo asks Lee Mu-yeon if they are thinking of staying on the island, even with the pirates coming back. Lee Mu-yeon says that they have suffered once due to those pirates, but they will not suffer again, and this time they are going to pay back the pirates. Ji Si-yun says that they should get ready in that case. Sung-woo thinks that they must prepare thoroughly because the advanced fleet of pirates was wiped out, and this time maybe the main fleet will arrive. Sung-woo's party has a lot of gold, so they ask Lee Mu-yeon about the location of a store or a blacksmith shop because they want to buy some equipment. Lee Mu-yeon tells him that there is a smithy in downtown where they can strengthen their equipment. At the same time, a fisherman runs toward Lee Mu-yeon. The fisherman informs them that the pirates have already swarmed together. They are gathering on an island across the sea, where they are preparing to attack them. Lee Mu-yeon informs Sung-woo that it happened too fast and they are not ready yet. Sung-woo is thinking that the pirates are acting weird and they should have landed somewhere inland instead of a separate island. Sung-woo thinks that maybe the pirates haven't learned anything about him yet, or they are looking down on him. During nighttime, a ship is moving through the ocean. A player with a mic says that he will now inform all of them what they are about to do. The player says that they belong to the Lord General of Earth's fleet. They are currently in the middle of the ocean right now. He tells the men to be on guard because the ocean is filled with terrible monsters. After crossing this hellish ocean, they will be landing on the Korean peninsula in order to occupy that land. The people from the Chinese second server are calling them cowards because they ran away from there without a proper fight. But once they return to the Chinese server after conquering Korea, they will take care of all of them. The player with the mic says that the wish of their Lord of Heaven will be fulfilled in Korea. But Korea has an evil villain called the Necromancer who killed their advanced team without showing any sort of mercy. However, the same thing is not going to happen for the second time, because their great fleet will be conquering the land of Korea. The pirates become inspired and they start cheering for the Lord of Heaven. Their Lord General of People along with his advance party were annihilated by Song Woo. But that advance party was quite small and they don't need to be afraid of anyone with their main fleet. The player badmouths the spiritualist Li Wei and he tells her to not let her victory of the second Chinese server get to her head. They will be going back to Manchuria after taking over Korea, and he challenges Li Wei to come at Manchuria after taking over the first Chinese server, so they can duke it out again. He further says that they will let the entire continent know by broadcasting themselves while killing the Necromancer, so they can prove to everyone that the Red Revolution Army are not a bunch of pushovers. But after a while, his expression changes because most of their ships have caught fire, and they are sinking in the ocean. They are being bombed from the skies and these birds actually belong to their Lord General of People. A huge flying monster is approaching their location and on closer inspection it turns out to be Sung Woo riding on it. All of a sudden some birds die after getting pierced by a blue ray. It turns out to be Ji Xuan, who belongs to a Cannon Shooter Plus Ice Wizard classes. He is also their Lord General of Earth and his men start cheering for him. But no matter how many birds he blasts off, they keep coming back to life. Ji Xuan orders the Magic Squad to create a shield and step back. The Magic Squad successfully creates a large linked shield around their ships. But for some reason, Song Woo is laughing instead of getting demotivated. Song Woo retreats back to the island along with all of his monster birds. The men under the Lord General of Earth become relieved. Ji Xuan comes to the announcer Quan, and he says that they have suffered a lot of casualties in such a short span of time. He is amazed by the capabilities of the Necromancer as he can explode corpses and he can control the monster birds which once belonged to their great General of People. Ji Xuan is a cunning and calculative guy. He thinks they did a good job of putting the ships of their subordinates first or the damages would have been massive. The announcer informs him that their casualty count is too high because they have lost 8 ships and over 100 people died in the last attack. Ji Xuan calls him by his name Kuan and he informs Kuan that it's no big deal because things like humans can always be replaced easily. The men under him get a bit afraid after hearing it. Ji Xuan further says that it is troubling that they broadcasted everything here instead of editing the images, but it is necessary to spread glorious rumors far and wide in order for their Lord General of Heaven to be able to return to the mainland. Li Wei left a sarcastic comment about their general after they got beaten up by Song Woo. Kuan says that they should just show them their prowess by making a comeback. Ji Xuan compliments Kuan as he tells him that they will restart their streaming after cutting off the head of the Necromancer. Ji Xuan calls Hui to come forward. Ji Xuan orders him to prepare a minigame. Hui needs to infiltrate the Ganghua Island to register a minigame in order to kill the Necromancer. Ji Xuan asks him if he is confident enough to infiltrate the island, and Hui says that it is easy for a seafarer like him. He further informs Ji Xuan that even if the Necromancer can keep his eye on the skies, he still cannot catch them under the sea. The players of the island are gathered on the shore. Song Woo arrives there and everyone congratulates him for roughing up the pirates. Song Woo is thinking that it is not the time to celebrate such a small victory, because the pirates are a bigger group than what he expected. Just the advanced fleet of their Lord General of Earth consists of more than 1,000 people and their main fleet will be around 3,000. While there are only 800 people on his side who came to help them after the war with the orcs ended. Song Woo can't even fathom the number of players their main fleet consists of. Plus, China is a big country, so a lot of people died there when the game started, but a lot of people also survived because of their great numbers. Lee Myeon informs Song Woo that they have finished preparing the transport to Ganghua Island while he was busy with the pirates. With that said, they start moving toward the Ganghua Island to stop the advance of those pirates. The next morning, Song Woo is patrolling the skies for any hostile activity. There are about 258 survivors from the Gyodong Island, but only 100 of them can fight. This is because most of them died during the first pirate invasion, and in times of an all-out war, the numbers really matter. Song Woo tells Lee Myeon to get as many people as he can to be assigned as lookouts. Song Woo further informs him that the enemy could attack them just like how he attacked them recently. Plus, he can fight on his own, but it requires numbers to have lookouts. Lee Myeon informs Song Woo that Ganghua Island is quite big, but his underlings suggest that they should use everyone besides the kids. Song Woo says that it will be impossible to block them, but they need to know when the fleet approaches the island as soon as possible. The kids are motivated to protect their island as well, and some of them say they can fight too, because they are on level 3 and they have lynched some goblins by themselves in the past. But Hanho tells them that they are too young for it. The Griffin Rider informs Song Woo that they are the family members of the people killed by the pirates. Those children saw their parents being murdered in front of them. So that's why they are in an uproar right now. Ji Se-eun says that he can understand their emotions, but if a point comes where children have to fight, then that means they have already lost the fight. Sung-woo inquires about the location of the blacksmith shops from the Griffin Rider. Sung-woo summons his orc skeleton carrying items from the abyss as he needs to get ready for the upcoming invasion. After some time, the squad of Hwee arrives on the shore of Ganghwa Island. They are relieved after finally arriving safely at their destination. Hwee orders everyone to gather up as they will be entering the forest after wearing their camouflage cloaks. After wearing the cloaks, they start heading toward the forest. Sometime later, they arrive at the location where they need to install something. One of his men asks him if they are really going to use that item in here because it seems like a waste to him. Hwee informs them that other islands of the mainland used items 2 ranks higher than this one. Their enemies had larger numbers, but they were crushed after losing to this game. This item is a special mid-rank minigame generator. After planting this flag, the area will be designated as a minigame area, causing a total of 3 plots to be formed as occupied territories. Different buffs will be granted each time a territory is taken over. Once they captured all territories, they will be tilted as the territory lord and a large buff will be granted to them. Hwee tells them that he also thinks that there is no need to use this item in here because it can be used to give them an advantage while dealing with a larger group. But it looks the General of Earth is making sure they don't lose to the Necromancer this time. Hwee plants the flag and he yells the game will now begin. The system scans the area of the Korean server and the game will take place at Ganghwa Island in the Korean server. Everyone gets a notification that a minigame has been activated in their area. 3 random areas will be designated as A, B, and C territories. A large buff will be granted to the one who controls all territories, plus the event will be destroyed within 15 minutes. Sung-woo and his party becomes shocked after hearing about the details of this event. Lee Moo-yeon calls the walkie-talkie of the Griffin Rider to inform Sung-woo that they have spotted pirate ship. He further states that it's a container ship and they are quickly approaching the south side of the island. Sung-woo is thinking that something is fishy because the pirates are approaching them as soon as the minigame started, like they were just waiting for this moment. The Griffin Rider receives another report from the lookout that some pirate ships are preparing to land in the west side of the island. Now Sohan is completely sure that this was all pre-planned by the pirates. Suddenly, they receive a system message that Territory C is being designated near them. The teammates of Sung-woo are a bit confused as to what they should do in this situation. Sung-woo is not sure what is going on, but he tells them that the key to winning this is to control all 3 territories. That's why the pirates are trying to push through with their numbers. Ji Se-eun asks Sohan as to what they should do, and Sohan says that he needs some time to gather his thoughts because he is not that much good at games. Han-ho starts laughing as he tells them that they don't need to worry about anything. They can simply win this game with the help of a pro gamer like him. We are given a little bit of an overview of the feats of Han-ho. People say that he picked the 1-star cards because they had girl figures on them. They also believe that he was the worst character because of his wrong choices during the early part of the game. Sung-woo is skeptical about his ability. After taking into account the recent decisions of Han-ho, he seems like a noob. Han-ho shouts at Sung-woo and he says how can a guy who has never spent a night at the internet cafe because he had no friends judge him. These words hit Sung-woo at heart and the others try to cheer him up. Han-ho explains that he was bad at cards and gacha games. That's why he made poor choices at the start, but he is quite good at games like these. Sung-woo knows that the attendance of Han-ho at the college campus was lower than his attendance at the internet cafe, so he asks him what they can do in order to win this game. After some time, Sung-woo and Ji Se-eun are flying through the island with their wyverns. They spot B territory flag, which is the midpoint between the other 2 occupied territories of Ganghwa Island. Han-ho is the one who told them that they have better mobility than the pirates because of wyverns, so they should start by taking over the closest base. Normally, in a game, there would be monsters around the base, but they don't see any monsters around the B territory. A system notification pops up which says they have started capturing a territory and it cannot be paused in the middle. Another notification pops up which tells them that 100 seconds are left until the territory becomes captured. All summon units will be unable to move and they can't attack anyone during this time. Han-ho even predicted that they will need to capture the flag by either solving a puzzle or through holding the point for a certain period of time. Sung-woo thinks Han-ho is quite good at these games. Ji Se-eun gets ready as Sung-woo can't move until the timer is up, and there is a high possibility that they can be ambushed. After some time, Ji Se-eun notices some movement around them. Han-ho already told them that the pirates have a larger number, so they will try to capture all 3 bases at once. Some pirates appear near the B territory and they came here after using a teleportation item. 71 seconds are left until the territory is captured. The pirates start rushing toward both of them after spotting as they know if the timer is up, they cannot hold their ground against Sungwoo. Ji-seon gets ready to take them all on by herself. Ji-seon rushes toward them as she needs to hold them back for as long as possible. Ji-seon slashes 2 of them in one strike and she receives 10,000 gold for each of them. Ji-seon keeps on rampaging through the pirates as they try to swarm her from all sides. No matter how hard the pirates try, they cannot stop her advance even with their numbers. The pirates on the back think that she is a monster, and another pirate suggests that they should first deal with the necromancer. Some pirates rush towards Sungwoo while the rest of them try to hold Jisoo back. The pirates are almost close to Sungwoo, but Ji-seon activates tracking footprint skill on time. It is a skill which uses heightened senses to grasp the movement of the opponent. It allows the user to be able to reach the opponent location in an instant. It can be activated as long as the user knows about the enemy movement. As they are about to attack Sungwoo, Ji-seon appears behind them and she butchers them with ease. The remaining pirates start gathering together so they can take her on at once. With that said, all of them start leaping toward her in unison. Meanwhile, on the other side of the island, Kwon reports to Ji-seon that their preparation for the battle are complete. Ji-seon tells them that they will be heading towards base A, which is closest to them. Ji-seon is thinking that he has a lot of soldiers under his command. The basics of war strategy is to always maintain a stronger and larger number of troops than the opponent. He might have become only a cannon shooter in this apocalyptic world, but this land monopoly game is what he is most confident in, since his dream when he was younger was to become a pro Baduk player. He wanted to be someone who can move and monopolize the wooden game board using the game pieces. But when he grew up, he realized the path to becoming a pro Baduk player was long and difficult. So, the end of the world was a new chance for him who had given up on life. Since their Lord General of Heaven is an amazing person, he has no time to focus on the small things. That's why he is the one who is moving the main army in his place. He says it's a shame for the player of this small country to face him after barely struggling to survive against the monsters. All of a sudden, a notification pops up which tells them that the point B has been taken over by the enemy. So buffs have been granted to their enemy and they cannot recapture the territory for 5 minutes. Another notification pops up which informs them that the defense of their enemies has increased by 30% and their stamina stat has been increased by 5%. Kwon becomes startled as the point B was taken so quickly, and Ji-seon tells him to not worry because he already predicted that they will lose at least 1 point to the enemy. He further says that this is as far as those Koreans who don't have a lot of soldiers can get with the luck. But he gets interrupted by another notification which informs them that point A has been taken over by their enemy as well. Now Koreans have 4 buffs in total with a 20% increase in attack and an additional 5% increase in strength stats. Ji-seon becomes pissed as he inquires about what is going on and how they lost 2 points so fast. But Kwon tells him he also has no idea how they lost 2 points so quickly. Ji-seon is really angry as he's wondering whether the Koreans already knew about the rules of this game. But there is no way it is possible because that item was a reward they got after completing a special quest. Kwon says that they don't have time to be thinking like this, and Ji-seon says he is right, because they have a large advantage in numbers. Ji-seon orders them to use a detached squad to aim for another base while they recapture the nearest base A, and they will march toward base C after that. Without wasting any time, all of them start rushing toward base A. Kwon orders everyone to stop as they spot something unusual. There are a lot of monsters' dead bodies piled upon each other on their way. Ji-seon knows these bodies can explode as they can be a trap set up by the necromancer. Ji-seon orders his men to not take any risks and move around the dead bodies. But they come to a stop after witnessing more dead bodies on other paths as well. Ji-seon is bursting with anger as things are getting out of hand. He orders the mages to burn the dead bodies with their fire magic. Explosions starts bursting throughout the jungles on Ganghwa Island as the pirates are trying to move aggressively toward their target. The Griffin Rider is worried because the pirates will start heading toward them once the dead bodies are destroyed. And Hanho tells her to not worry because he already expected this to happen. Hanho used those dead bodies like an observational tower. Even without a magic drone, they will know the location of the pirates throughout the exploding sounds. It's an obvious trick, but it will work as the pirates have no choice but to destroy the dead bodies because they have fear of corpse explosion. And in the process of doing so, they will waste a lot of mana. If things don't work while piling up the monster corpses, then they can just give up the base and run away. The Griffin Rider says that they will not be able to win the game if they lose all bases. And Hanho signs after saying that she's a noob, that's why she can't understand these things. Hanho is sparkling with confidence and he says this kind of game is played not to win, but to piss off the opponents. He points toward the jungle and he says that they have a lot of soldiers anyway. Even if they lose 1 or 2 bases, they just need to keep the balance without having any losses on their side. He further elaborates that the rest will depend on Han Ho and Ji Soo-yun, who are their main strength in this fight, while he is the brain. After a lot of struggle, they barely manage to arrive at the base A. They see Han Ho standing near the point A, and one of them informs others that he is the party member of the Necromancer. Han Ho congratulates all of them for the hard work they did in order to get there. He then starts mocking them by saying that they wasted their resources in burning all of those monster dead bodies, as they didn't knew that Sung-woo was not even here in the first place. Han Ho is trying to mentally break them down with his words, as the more emotional they get, the more worse it will be for them. Ji Xuan screams at Han Ho as to how dare he try to compare with his intelligence, and he calls Han Ho a midget. Han Ho says that Ji Xuan is pissed because he can't do anything to this midget, as most of his time is spent in burning those corpses. Ji Xuan screams back at him by saying that how dared he talk to his elders like this, and he further questions the etiquettes of the East Asian countries. Ji Xuan orders his men to kill Han Ho, and Han Ho starts retreating from the point A. Ji Xuan is pissed because he could not get his hands on the midget Han Ho, but they still got a base from the enemy. He asks the other team about how much time they are going to take in order to capture the C base. Hue informs them that he is at the C base, but the Necromancer is there as well, so he will contact him again after dealing with him. Hue is quite confident in taking down Sung-woo as he's busy capturing the flag, and his units are standing still. Hue and his team members start rushing towards Sung-woo at full speed so they can take care of him before he can completely occupy the C base. Meanwhile, Sung-woo is thinking this Chinese party consists of only idiots, because Sung-woo is just holding a fake flag and they would have gotten a notification that someone is capturing the C base if it was a real one. On the other side, Hue is quite happy because he will get a big promotion and a word of appreciation from the Lord General of Heaven after this. All of a sudden, all of them receive a message that C base is still unoccupied. Sung-woo starts smirking as he knows it's already too late for them and they have fallen in his trap. The pirates shout at each other to retreat, but it's too late for them, as the summons of Sung-woo have already started to grind them to pieces. Sung-woo is hesitant to compliment Han Ho because he will get cocky after hearing it, but this strategy to use a fake flag was also suggested by him. He also suggested another strategy to capture the flag while hiding under the ground. Hue gets surrounded from all sides with the summons of Sung-woo, and he orders them to kill all of them, so he can easily capture the flag without any worry. Hue, in despair, uses a lot of summoning circles. Some sea monsters along with a lot of water come out of the circles and the area around them gets flooded in an instant. The whole area became covered in seawater, giving Sung-woo and his minions no chance to escape. After some time, the water starts disappearing and the sea monsters can't survive without water for long. Hue and his team members survived the flood by using masks to breathe under the water, and they are thinking that they got the Necromancer for good this time. Hue says that it will take some time for the sea creatures to completely die out, but they should have destroyed the minions and the Necromancer in this time. Hue and his team members have a rank 2 synergy called the Marine Boys. It's a defensive synergy which requires the team to wear 20 or more swimsuit type armors. It increases underwater endurance by 10%, and it allows the party members to move freely underwater or on wet land. Hue orders his men to find the dead body of Necromancer, and if he is alive, then he must be barely hanging on to his life and they can finish him off with ease. Sung-woo is flying right above them and he tells them that they have no need to find him. The seafarers become alerted as they were not expecting this outcome. Sung-woo made it out safely because of instant teleportation skill of his Shadow King's bracelet, and his wyvern was on standby near them. This bracelet is a legendary item, and it increases strength, stamina, and dexterity by 3 points. It can teleport the user to a nearby shadow within a radius of 100 meters after infusing it with magic. Hue orders his men to attack Sung-woo as most of his minions are already dead, and the Necromancer without his minions is quite useless. Plus, they can move freely on this wet ground. They start throwing javelins at Sung-woo and his wyvern. Sung-woo is getting pumped up and he creates a lot of bone spears. He throws the bone spears at the monster fishes down below. After killing them, Sung-woo turns them all into his minions. Sung-woo is thinking that these skeleton fishes are the best monsters on wetland, and they cannot die due to less water because they only consist of bones. The fishes start gulping the seafarers, and Hue tells Sung-woo to face them by himself like a man. Hue spots a magic drone of Kuan flying over Sung-woo. Hue contacts Ji Xuan to request backup. Ji Xuan tells him that it's a shame because his team's contribution to their cause was great after they were pushed out of the mainland. Jishuan further says that they will create a new team after this to replace Hui, and he says that his final moments will be of great help to them for analyzing the power of the necromancer. Hui keeps begging for help, but Jishuan is a lunatic and he cuts off their connection. Jishuan was able to learn more about the necromancer in detail through this encounter. The death of his subordinates is a big loss, but he still benefited from this by learning that the necromancer can refill his ranks very easily. They will hold off on overtaking Base C where necromancer is right now. In the meantime, they will prepare a thorough defense line at Base A, then attack Base C after passing through Base B, plus a part of their army is already attacking Base B. They don't need to worry about the corpse explosion as Necromancer is at Base C, and they will take care of Midget Han Ho and the Korean players who are occupying Base B. Jishuan contacts the team assigned on capturing the Base B for the report. The team leader informs Jishuan that there are monsters in Base B and he's looking quite terrified. The two monsters he's referring to turns out to be Han Ho and Ji Soo-yun, who are rampaging through their ranks. He makes his last report to the Lord General of Earth as Han Ho of the North Star approaches him. Jishuan gets angry after suffering another loss and he flips the table with the laptop. Jishuan still can't believe he just lost another major battle as he thinks his strategy was foolproof. Kuan is quite worried and he asks him what is going to happen to them, and Jishuan orders all soldiers to retreat so they can reorganize their plan. Meanwhile, on the other side, Ji Soo-yun and Han Ho just finish off the last pirate on Base B. The Griffin Rider and the Islanders are quite happy as both of them have finished a whole squadron of pirates by themselves without suffering any casualty. The Griffin Rider says that Han Ho is quite strong, unlike the rumors which say that he uses the necromancer to climb the ranks, and Han Ho becomes more cocky as his pride pierces through the roof after hearing it. Han Ho asks her about who is spreading these rumors that he is carried by the necromancer, and the Griffin Rider says she has no idea about it. Ji Soo-yun asks Han Ho about what they should do next, or they should just use the same strategy again and again to lower the numbers of pirates. Han Ho tells her that same strategy will not work every single time, and they should just wrap things up. He further tells her that stalling for time is good for a game, but when people don't see results quickly, they start getting lame. But that's not the type of game they are playing right here. The pirates can have items that can change the whole situation in an instant, and there are way too many variables, which is why they need to finish this whole ordeal before the pirates can come up with a new counter. Everything Han Ho just said was transmission to Sung-woo on the walkie-talkie, and he asks Sung-woo if there are any questions. Sung-woo says there are no questions as everything Han Ho just said makes complete sense in this situation. Han Ho tells Sung-woo to make this a sure win by wiping them out with his overwhelming power. The magical drone is still following Sung-woo. Kuan, who is using the drone, informs Jishuan that the necromancer is flying toward their current location. Jishuan says the necromancer must have gone insane because he has an army, but it's nothing compared to their numbers. The other drone users inform Jishuan that it's not only the necromancer as the other Korean players who are at Base B are heading their way as well. No matter how much Jishuan thinks about it, he cannot understand why the Korean players just abandon their base because they can occupy them easily by sending a detachment. Even if the Koreans are stronger, they still cannot win against the pirates after getting their buffs stolen. And he is thinking maybe the necromancer who is on number 2 in the Korean ranks is their strategist. He orders his men to play the magic drone transmission live in TV in front of him. He's thinking maybe the Korean players just got lucky up to this point, because they are now making irrational decisions. He sent some men to capture a base, but there are still some skeletons protecting that base. His men reports back that they are being attacked by giant skeletons and they are being overpowered by them. Jishuan is thinking that the summoned creatures will disappear, or they won't be able to move once their distance from their summoner increases, and he's thinking to wait a little bit more, so the distance between the necromancer and his minions can increase. Plus, they have a lot more teleport scrolls left, and he keeps on teleporting more men to Base C after some time. The pirates become alerted after watching something. It turns out to be a big mech unit, and the pirate complained that the necromancer is cheating in a fantasy setting. Sung-woo named this unit the legendary hero Necrogen. The pirates never heard about anything like that before, and an otaku pirate tells them that they are up against a legendary hero, which makes them the evil group. One of the pirates informs other that this one is not a gold mech unit. It looks similar in appearance, but it's made from mud. They start attacking it after saying that it's not a legendary hero. Golems can move on its own and follow the order it had previously received despite being far from its creator. The pirates are quite happy because the golem is breaking down quite easily, but all of a sudden, a pirate gets caught by it and yell out that the golem is healing. The pirate yells out that the legendary hero has caught a hostage. The mech unit talks and it tells them that there is no need for this machine with overwhelming specs to hold inferior organisms hostage. He informs them that his mission is to protect Base C, and for the sake of his mission, he must get rid of all inferior organisms. Necrogen shoots out a big energy wave using a lot of mana which blasts away most of the pirates. The only flaw of this mech unit is that it needs a lot of mana. But Seongwoo can never run out of mana in the battlefield, so he is almost unstoppable. Seongwoo has his legendary Chaos Crystal, which gives the bearer Chaos attribute, causing their mana to increase by 500, and it restores mana by 250%. It steals mana and health while attacking by 3%, making this item the best fit for a mage-type player. Jishun, who is watching all of it through the magical drone, can't believe that his troops are getting slapped quite hard by the Necromancer. Jishun is thinking that all of the information that they have gathered isn't right at all. He is thinking that maybe someone spread false information about him all over Korea to make him look like weak. He promised his Lord General of Heaven that he will be victorious in here, but everything is gone wrong. The giants are ripping through the ranks of pirates, and the pirate unit leader orders his men to prepare ice magic. The ice mages freezes their limbs with their ice spells. Death Knight and Righty jump over their location as it's time for them to get their hands dirty. After landing, they start ripping the pirates to shreds. Jishun orders his men to target the Necromancer because all of his minions will die automatically after his death. The pirates are wearing the same uniform for a reason, as it gives them a defensive synergy which increases all of their stats by 2. The pirates are thinking that with all of their stat bonuses they will be able to get rid of the Necromancer. Some of them spot the Necromancer and they tell their fellow members to attack him in unison. They start rushing toward him in unison as they think they can overwhelm Seongwoo with their numbers. But Seongwoo easily slashes through most of them with his Grim Reaper scythe. The whole area becomes red with the blood of the pirates who attacked him head-on. Seongwoo informs them that he is weaker compared to most of his minions, but in his Grim Reaper mode, he is completely unstoppable. In Grim Reaper mode, Seongwoo can utilize the power of a Lich, which increases maximum number of his minions by 50, and it increases all of his stats by 10. He can also regenerate nearby destroyed undead as many times as the maximum number of units in his party. Seongwoo is not much suited for using the scythe as a weapon, but it increases his stats by 10, which is a huge boost. Jishun, who is watching all of it live, is trembling with fear. Jishun asks Kuan if he's streaming everything live, and Kuan informs him that he is streaming everything that is being broadcasted on his laptop screen. Jishun yells at him to stop the live stream as he is advertising their revolutionary army getting wrecked by a single person. He tells Kuan to change the channel to Base B, and their drones start heading toward Base B to record what's going on there. He further tells Kuan that they need to shoot some scenes to boost the morale of their soldiers. He sent Haerang to recapture the Base B. Haerang wasn't as active as Hue when it came to the pirate activities, but it's a different story for battles like these. The drone shows them the live footage of Base B and it looks like it's being protected by a single woman. Kuan is doing live commentary for the stream to boost the morale of their soldiers. He informs others that Haerang is a strong man known as the Black Master, so it's going to be a one-sided fight. There are currently 100,000 Chinese people watching this stream, so he needs to highlight the most famous scenes from this stream. When he zooms in a little bit more, he finds out that all of their men have already fallen in battle and the dead body of Haerang is lying there as well. All of a sudden, Ji-seon senses the presence of a drone and she cuts it into 2 pieces with a single slash attack. Ji-seon orders them to quickly stop the stream as it will only make their soldiers to lose morale. At the same time, the pirates on Base C are barely holding on. They are thinking they will soon receive the buff from Base B because Haerang went there to recapture it. One of the pirates who was watching the stream during the fight informs other pirates at Base C that their strongest fighter, Haerang, just died. The soldiers are losing their morale at a faster rate and this whole game was set up by them in the first place, but they are losing it badly. Jishun can't take it anymore and he starts heading toward the Necromancer by himself. He starts blasting away all minions on his way with the help of his ice cannon. He is challenging Seongwoo to come out to face him like a man. After getting rid of some minions, he spots Seongwoo in the distance. He starts preparing to shoot Seongwoo without wasting any more of his time. Finally, he shoots the cannon which directly hits Seongwoo. But after some time, they find out that he blocked the ice cannon with a bone shield. But Jishun can feel like it was not completely blocked as he can hear a squeaking sound coming from his body. Jishun keeps on bombarding him with ice cannon shots to turn him into an ice sculpture. Hanho appears from behind a bush and he starts mocking Jishun. Ji Xuan bursts with anger as he thinks this midget Han Ho is responsible for causing his military power to falter from the beginning. He diverts his attacks toward Han Ho, but Han Ho easily dodges them without paying much attention to them. The projection of Sungwoo disappears from the distance, and he appears right behind Ji Xuan, and he tells him that he should have never turned away from his enemy. With that said, Sungwoo slashes him into two with his scythe. Sungwoo informs him that it must be painful, but he should smile because he is on camera right now. Ji Xuan is thinking that he ordered Kuan to stop streaming, but Kuan tells him that he is sorry. But he had no other choice but to stream the whole thing for their Lord General of Heaven, who is on the walkie-talkie right now. Their Lord General of Heaven says that it seems Ji Xuan has failed, but Ji Xuan is still stubborn and he says that he can still win with the remaining soldiers. The Lord General of Heaven says that it's a shame that Ji Xuan failed, but he is satisfied with his current situation, since it allowed him to learn so much about the real abilities of the Necromancer and his companions, so it can also be called a gain. And then he repeats the same words of Ji Xuan that a chess piece like him can always be replaced. Sungwoo has heard enough, so he kills all pirates around him. Sungwoo says he is sorry to interfere in his transmission, but it's time for him to finish the game. He further says that if he still thinks Korea is a free honeypot, then he can personally come over as Sungwoo will always be here to greet him.